Welcome to 5 in 5 from the One-Stop Co-op Shop, where I discuss 5 key elements of a game in about 5 minutes. I'm Michael Kelly, and today we're looking at the third game I've covered in GMT's Coin series, Gandhi, the Decolonization of British India. Quick disclaimer that I was sent a review copy of this game. My enjoyment of the Coin counter-insurgency series is pretty well established at this point, so did Gandhi have anything new to excite me? Let's find out and get to the list. I'm going to start out with a mix point at number 5, focusing on the area control in the game. So all the games in the Coin series have some element of population control, getting them on your side, and Gandhi is no different, though they do have some nice new elements here. For example, the Muslim League can make some areas of the board into Muslim states, denying the British access to them and pushing themselves closer to victory. But the reason this one comes out as a mix for me is that sometimes it feels like things ping-pong back and forth a little too quickly, with the British able to just wipe out huge swaths of protesters in one go. And also on the entire map, there's only 7 provinces that have 2 population instead of 1. And again, this isn't all the Coin games, but here I really felt like those are the only places that mattered. Those are the only places the AI targeted. So it felt like a lot of the map became superfluous because they were so hyper-focused on these specific regions. But I'm coming up to a pro for number 4, one I always talk about with these games, and that's the variety between the 4 factions. I especially like that variety in Gandhi because you really have 3 types of factions here. You have the British Raj acting out the authoritarian government role with way more units than everybody else, and then you've got the violent revolutionaries, a lot like guerrillas in other Coin games, but then you have these 2 non-violent factions, and the non-violent factions are really cool in their differences. Like a major one, they don't have to track resources, they don't spend money, they can do stuff over and over again, but they have other limitations on the actions they can take, and their units can get arrested and be in kind of a holding area for long periods of time, so it really does feel very different depending on which faction you play, and is even, I'll say, more varied than any of the other Coin games I've played so far. Another new element here that's a big pro for me is the Unity and Restraint tracks. In brief terms, Unity measures how well the Hindu and Muslim factions are getting along with each other, whereas Restraint shows how willing the British are to kind of lay off and let the protests happen. And both of these tracks have major effects on all of the factions and the actions they can take, and if you let them both drop to 1, you go into crisis, and actions change in major ways, and the British get a huge influx of troops, and you have lots of ways to influence them and take subpar actions to keep things up. Like as the Muslims or the Indian Congress, you can give troops to the other side to keep unity up and stay out of crisis, but you might want to hit them, so you really feel this ebb and flow, this tug and pull of trying to be on the same side but also having different goals. But I'm coming all the way down to a con, the big one for number 2, and that's running the AI. Now, if you've seen my other reviews of Coin games, you already know the drill here. It takes such a long time to figure out how to run the AI, and when you're playing the game, the majority of your time in the game, until you're really experienced, will be with the AI and just kind of figuring out where they go and what they do. And that might be fun for you, or it might not, but it always feels time consuming. Now, in total fairness, the new system they use for Gandhi, which is based on cards, is far and away better than what they had in Pendragon or Cuba Libre, and I'm really excited at the idea of them bringing these cards as kind of like mini expansions back to the old games. But make no mistake, even with that improved system, this is still going to be the linchpin that will ruin this game for some people. Watch my playthrough and see if working your way through those charts seems like a chore or seems like it could be fun for you. But I'm going to end on a big pro, the same one I have with all of my previous Coin reviews, and that's the event card system, the core of the game. Man, I love it. You have 2 event cards up at a time, it'll tell you which factions are eligible, and you have to carefully weigh whether you want to execute the event, and there's so much variety in them, or whether you want to take some actions, but how much of an action do you want to take? Do you want to leave the AI with the freedom to mess you up with some nasty event? You have to look ahead around. It's just such a great system. Such a nice mix of tactical and strategic, and it brings in a lot of history, shows me these events that I want to go and read and learn more about. Absolutely beautiful. I don't really have anything new to say, I just always love it. Overall, I really loved Gandhi. Every one of my plays was tense and interesting. Yes, it was often frustrating to dig through tables and try to parse what the AI was going to do, but for me as a gamer, even that is sometimes enjoyable, which is why I really love these coin games. But for you, just really big warning, watch the playthrough, watch other people playing these games, see if you'll like it or not. I think at the moment, out of the 3 coins I've played, I'd say Gandhi is probably the best designed. I really love the new AI. I would still recommend Cuba Libre for a first-time gamer in this series, and I still think I like Pendragon more just because of the theme and the more warlike nature of that game, but Gandhi is a beautiful design, certainly one I plan to keep in my collection and play again and again. And if you want to see me play through one campaign, a full 4th of the game, and kind of see how the AI works, click the link that just popped up. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.